Good win for the Knicks, man. Good one. Let's talk about it. Episode 479 of the podcast. Welcome to BD4, an RJ Carbone podcast. BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. BD4 is a 5-star show on Apple Podcasts, also available in video format on YouTube and Spotify. So thanks for stopping by, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Champion of the world, turning, looking, see ya! Anthony for three, bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied! Time!
Penetrates, creates, and showing some dexterity as well with the left hand.
Yankees win!
All right. All right. What's going on, everybody? Episode 479 of the podcast. Welcome to BD4, and I'm your host, RJ Carbone. We're getting right into it because I'm tired, and it's very, very late after the Super Bowl just ended. We're recapping yesterday's game. Now, as you're listening to this, it was a couple of days ago, but the Knicks defeat the Utah Jazz 126-120. We're diving right in. Welcome to BD4. I'm your host, RJ, and you know the rest. And this is going to be a quick one, but I'm exhausted. It was a big win for the Knicks. You know, every game is, obviously, as we try to chase that 6th spot. The Knicks, with this win, are also 4-1 at home in their last 5 Garden games. So that's a good thing. You know, obviously that's, been somewhere we've struggled this season and in recent seasons, but picked up a win last night. It was a quiet start to the game for both sides, really, but some poor shooting, some bad shot selection on the Knicks end. The Jazz were protecting the rim very well with that kid Kessler down there. But then you get Randall and Brunson. They get going. And they're together. They're basically carrying the damn team for a little while. They get hot. And then Josh Hart checks in. And he makes immediate impact with his hustle. Probably would have stayed on the floor longer if it wasn't for the foul trouble. But at the end of the period, with the Knicks looking ready to balloon this thing, they had a nice, sizable 33-22 early lead. Then you get the quick back-to-back triples from Utah to come within 5. And they did that a few times this game. Big 3-point shots at the end of the period. But the second quarter comes. It's a 5-point game. Jazz eventually come within 1 point a few times. But the Knicks get hot behind some very good two-way play from Quickley and Josh Hart. Hart's playing good defense. He's active out there on the glass. Quickley's out there defending well, too. Obi Toppin chipping in. The Knicks go up 62-56 at halftime. The third quarter, the Knicks staying in it. Very back and forth, hot and cold. Fourth quarter comes. A lot of offense, not much defense. Lauri Markkanen gets hard to contain. He finishes with 29 points. He gets hot from behind the 3-point line and also in the dribble drive. Jordan Clarkson, 24 points. He was very difficult to stop in the fourth quarter. But the Knicks also got key baskets from a lot of their guys. Everybody was chipping in the fourth. Of course, Brunson getting into the paint with the midi. Outside from 3, knocking a shot down. RJ, Randall, Hart, a couple of big baskets each. Crunch time comes. The Knicks buckle down, and they get it done. Big 3-pointers from all those guys. But it's Josh Hart with the biggest one. 2 minutes left in the game. The Knicks are up 6. Trying to get some breathing room. He knocks down a big 3-pointer from the weak side wing. Puts them up 9. And that was kind of the shot that put this game to bed. Brunson ices it at the end with a bunch of free throws. And the Knicks win. So, great win, man. I'm very proud of the way Josh Hart played. So I want to start this episode off by talking about him. And what do you know? His very first game as a Knick, he gets a game ball. Coming off the bench, I believe that Josh Hart was the best one out there last night. And this was in a night where the Knick bench was very productive. Quickly scored 15. Hartenstein had another double-figure rebounding game. He was playing good. Josh Hart, I thought he was the best one on the floor last night. Coming off the bench, I'm giving him a bing-bong game ball, his first as a Knick in his very first game.
Bing-bong.
Last night, Josh Hart, 11 points, 4 assists, 7 rebounds, 4 of them offensive rebounds, 4 steals, 50% shooting, 2 of 3 from three-point land, a +5 across 26 minutes. It was the most Josh Hart game you'll see. I've watched this guy play with the Lakers. I've watched him play with the Pelicans before. I used to watch a lot of NBA TV, and Josh Hart was a guy not that I had my eye on, but he was always on the games that were on the TV. For some reason, I watch a lot of those, and he was there. And this was a very Josh Hart game, very average Josh Hart game. You got defense, you got rebounding, taking advantage of his size, a little bit of scoring, some playmaking, running the floor, off ball, on the ball, doing everything you need. All the little things, right? That is a Thibs guy. And there were key plays that he was making. Clutch rebounds, clutch three-point shooting. Him and Brunson with that Villanova connection out there, that synergy. As soon as Josh Hart stepped on the floor, he runs the break and gets the outlet time from Brunson for the finish. Right away. Took no time. And, you wonder how a guy... I'm watching this kid, man. You wonder how a kid like him, can rebound like a power forward. He's 6'5", 6'6". But you watch it. You look at the stat sheets, you're like, wow, that's a lot of rebounds. But you watch him. You watch the way he attacks the glass, and you realize, okay, it makes sense. The speed he plays at, how hard he plays, the hustle. He's very active, and much like Emmanuel Quickley, how we talk about Quickley's always pursuing the ball off the glass, that's what Josh Hart does. Goes after the rebound, doesn't wait for it to come to him. He goes after it, and he secures it. I love watching him grab rebounds. So, no question. No shit he's going to average 8 a night. The way he goes after it, very impressive. And his size alone is going to help the Knicks defensively a lot. His size and his ability to keep his man in front is really important, especially when he shares the floor with someone like Emmanuel Quickley. It's going to make the Knicks much more versatile defensively. It makes it easier for them on switches. You saw Utah with the 4 pick and roll, the 5 pick and roll. But we defended that well. You saw, that second quarter, you saw their defensive upside together. He's standing out there. I love the way that Hart can stunt off of his man to jump the pass lanes. Because that's how he gets a lot of his steals. You saw that. And that's something he usually does. And again, I've seen him do it with Portland. I've seen him do it with the Pelicans. That's how you start the fast break. He jumps the pass lane, stunts off his man, and you get the Knicks going on a break. You saw it a few times. So I think he's going to help this team push the pace, just because of his defense. Defense that leads to offense. So, I saw that the big question was, how is he going to fit into this rotation? Well, he took Deuce McBride's minutes last night. And it's Thibodeau's very cutthroat. You gotta love it. The second you get a new toy, Deuce is done. Listen, Deuce was trying his hardest. He played good defense, but come on. This is Josh Hart. He's a better player than Deuce McBride. He took some of Quentin Grimes' minutes because Grimes was awful, and he's not been great. And Josh Hart, also a question we had. He played down the stretch, which wasn't a question to me. I figured he would, type of player he is. Those were all the things we were talking about, though. So guys like Grimes and guys like RJ Barrett, they got to be careful because you never know. Josh Hart was a starter before coming here. He started in a bunch of his games. So he's a very productive player. He gave them good minutes last night. Obviously, he's not going to be like this all the time. But again, that's probably your average Josh Hart night. He'll score, low double figures. He'll rebound. He'll play defense. And when he's on the ball, he'll do a little bit of playmaking. But he can also cut, slash, run the break. And again, his weakness is three-point shooting. Not the greatest shooter. His ceiling as a three-point shooter is probably slightly below average to average. But he's doing that jack of all trades type of stuff. So I was very happy with what we got from Josh Hart. And speaking of the minutes distribution, we'll touch on that real briefly when we get back from break. Stay with us. Be right there. Hey guys, so if you are a listener of the podcast often and you want to know where to find me on social media, you can find me on Facebook at BD4. You can find me on Twitter at BD4Pod. And you can also find me on Instagram at RobJCarbone. BD4 is located on many different platforms. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts. And if you do there, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and review. You can listen to it on Spotify, but you can also watch the podcast on both Spotify and YouTube. BD4 is available on many other platforms as well. All you got to do is search it up. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and much more. All right, welcome back to the show. Episode 479 of BD4. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Yes, speaking of the minutes distribution, that's obviously it's a big topic every night among Knicks fans. But last night I thought it was very even. You didn't have 2-3 guys playing 43, 44 minutes. Thibs ran 9, so he's sticking with the 9. And of the 9 guys, 0 played 40 minutes or more. 3 played 30 minutes or more. 5 played 20 minutes or more. 1 played below 10 minutes. So it was very evenly distributed. RJ Barrett and Quentin Grimes, you saw some minutes shaved off of them because Josh Hart is going to still get his 25 to 30 minutes. He's going to close and he's going to play. There's no doubt that Thibodeau had the influence on acquiring Josh Hart, especially after the whole Cam debacle. There's no question that Thibodeau had to say. Look at the type of player he is. So the minutes distribution last night was good. And if we get more of this, then maybe that'll quiet down. Maybe that noise on Thibs' rotation, even if it's a 9-man, will quiet down if you get distribution like this. Again, the only one who didn't get a ton of burn was Obi Toppin, but Obi's not really been producing for you. Sorry to say. For those of you who think he's a superstar, for some reason, it's not happening. But I had no problem with the distribution last night. I thought they were very evenly distributed. Nobody played for extreme long stretches either. Yeah. I thought the Knick defense, they did allow 120 points. And, whoops, wrong page here. They allowed 120 points. They do continue to struggle without Mitchell Robinson. They've allowed 115 points or more in 9 of the 13 games since he went down. And that's including the game he went down because he only played 8 minutes. They've allowed 125 points or more in 4 of the 13 games since. And here's one that really stands out. The Knicks' defensive rating before the injury, they were 11th in basketball in defensive rating. Since the injury, from the span to when he went down to today, 27th defensive rating. Putrid. So you're seeing, and you're seeing the struggles. It's not just because he's been out. A lot of it's miscommunication and effort, difficulty closing out. The rotations can be a bit scrambled. Hartenstein has stepped up, sure. But Jericho Sims is struggling to keep up in the other half of those minutes. He did grab some rebounds last night, but he's struggling with the bigger bodies and the positioning and fouling. The pick and roll drop coverage in particular has been on and off since he got hurt. Tonight specifically, you definitely saw the difference. We saw guys walking back in transition in the first half. That's something Mitchell Robinson doesn't do. He's always sprinting and running the floor very well. Guy's a rim runner. Early second half, over helping out there. We don't have him down there to protect the rim, so you have to put extra emphasis on the paint. And, the Knicks were outscored in the paint by 16 points. They allowed 64 points in the paint, which is very uncharacteristic. That's Mitchell Robinson. I mean, Sexton was down there. Clarkson, Lauri Markkanen, Horton Tucker was living down there last night. So you do miss Mitchell Robinson. Hope that they can take care of their defense, fix some things up, and you hope that a guy like Josh Hart can help. And then we're going to wrap this up with our second game ball going to Jalen Brunson.
Bing bang.
Thought Jalen Brunson last night was awesome. 10 points in the fourth quarter. He had the big 3 ball with 4 minutes left to break the tie when he isos Tucker. Knocks down a bunch of free throws. And then earlier in the fourth, he had the pull-up jumper over that long defender, which is the long kid. Very lengthy. Agbachi? I don't know how to pronounce his name. But he pulls up over that dude, puts the Knicks up 3 points. And on the night, he finishes with 38 points, 5 assists. He's 11 of 22 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3, 14 of 15 at the free throw line. Really did a nice job drawing contact and getting to the line throughout that second half. The Jazz they couldn't contain Jalen Brunson last night the slightest. They tried everything, throwing bodies at him, and he just kept making them pay, whether it was from the field or drawing contact. So that's it. We're going to wrap this up. I'm tired. Just a quick 20-minute episode tonight. We'll get to break. When we return, we are wrapping this up with our parlay and our question of the day. Stay with us. Be right back. We also have a website now for BD4. If you go to BD4blog.com, you can find the blog, the podcast links, and also where to find me on social media. Just go to BD4blog.com. Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to episode 479 of the podcast. I'm tired. Just finished watching the Super Bowl. We'll talk about that maybe in tomorrow's episode, or whenever that episode comes out after the Nets game. But let's get to our parlay. All right. Welcome to RJ's Parlay, where my degenerate self breaks down tonight's big parlay. If I hit, if I miss, it's not surprising. If I hit, I'll probably lose it all tomorrow night because that's how this works. Welcome to RJ's Parlay. So last night, we had a parlay on the Knick game. We'll go over our Super Bowl parlays in the next episode, maybe, if I remember. But it didn't go well. It did not go well. So for this Knicks game against the Jazz, I had plus 16.5 alternate spread for the Knicks. I had Randall getting 35 plus points, rebounds, assists, Brunson 30 plus of them, and RJ 20 plus. And we cashed. It was a plus 165 4-pick parlay. Tired, man. Let's get to the question of the day so we can finally wrap this up. All right. Sorry. Welcome back to the show, episode 479. Our NYY-NYK-MMA trivia question of the day. I'm only going to repeat this one once because I am tired. So listen carefully. Which Knick is top 10 in franchise history in total points, rebounds, assists, and steals? All right. So I'm going to repeat it once. Which Knick is top 10 in franchise history in total points, rebounds, assists, and steals? All right, so let me know whatever the answer is, whatever you think it is. If you get it correct, I'll give you a shout out in the next episode. Thank you guys. That's it. I'm going to bed. Later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.